Okay, let's get started. I believe we left off, I hope we left off, on the owl chapter. Is that correct? We hadn't started it, right. And where I want to pick up, I've got things marked, but we don't have time to talk about it. Today is third. Yeah, we're supposed to finish today. Pages 712, 713, kind of in following. Here he has his, which is it? Charms owl, I believe it is. No, Defense Against the Dark Arts, 714 actually. And Professor Tofty, at the end, Harry kind of does well, and he says, he leans forward, and he says, I heard you could do a Patronus. Bonus point? Okay, first of all, do you think he offers anybody else an opportunity for a bonus? No, he doesn't. Or we're never given an indication of that, okay? Tiberius Ogden, where have we heard that name? He was one of those in the trial, okay? I think she might say that somewhere else. Anyways, so Harry does, Harry looks at, names. Harry looks at Umbridge and does his, Patronus because he's thinking of her getting sacked. Pretty good happy thought, right? Let's skip a bunch. Let's see here. He goes to his astronomy, because this is going to kind of, it's a little thing, but it's going to come out again a little bit in the next book when Harry gets his owl results. They go off to the astronomy exam, and what happens during the exam? Yeah, because they're up on top of the astronomy tower, looking at the stars and stuff, and they can see down below to the edge of the Forbidden Forest, and they see Hagrid's hut. And Hagrid gets attacked, okay? Who comes to Hagrid's defense? It also gets attacked, McGonagall. So Hagrid flees, McGonagall's wounded, and we're going to find out later on, Harry gets a D, I think, dreadful, right? In astronomy. This is why. Imagine taking, one of your important exams, and there's a fire alarm, and you have to leave, and it still counts. Okay? That's essentially what happens. He falls asleep during divination. Well, he dozes. During divination. History of Magic, 727. History of Magic, and he has his episode, okay, where he sees Sirius being tortured by Voldemort. He tells Ron and Hermione, okay, Hermione wants to know, how did you see this? And he tells her, in 732, 733, Hermione says something that probably should have been said a long time ago to Harry, okay? Now, Harry's adamant that Sirius is being tortured in the Department of Mysteries at the Ministry of Magic. What does Hermione, how does Hermione counter that? How does she argue against that happening? Anybody remember? She says, Harry, you've not been practicing occlumency. Voldemort can control you. Voldemort can see, he knows what's, okay? Harry's like, it's not a dream, it's really happening, he's there. 732. She says, Harry, think about this. That is, apply some reason. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay? The Ministry of Magic must be full of workers. How can Voldemort be in the Ministry of Magic if it is chock full of employees? They're probably the two most wanted wizards in the world. And I don't, invisibility cloak or something. He says it's always been empty when I've been there. Harry, you've not been there. He's been there once, right? Okay, for the trial. You've dreamed about the place. But they're not normal dreams. Ron, he's got a point. And Hermione's like, yeah, but I just got you. Of course they're not normal dreams. This is just so unlikely. How could Voldemort have got hold of Sirius when he's at Grimmauld Place? What's Hermione doing? She's trying to get Harry to apply logic to this situation. Is she wrong? No, she's not. She is entirely right. Okay. If Harry had thought about it, rather than do what? Go back to something Snape says in occlumency lessons. Wear his heart on his sleeve. Okay? Snape says you've got to bury your emotion. What does that mean? You've got to let reason take control. Harry doesn't do that. So, this is when she kind of pulls out her ace. The thing that probably should have been said earlier in Harry's life. He says, Harry, I've just got to, she says, I've just got to say this. What? It's not a criticism, Harry, please, it's not a criticism. But you do, middle of 733. You do, ... sort of, ... I mean, dash. Don't you think you've got a bit of a dash? Why all the pauses? She doesn't want to come right out and say this because it sounds like he's kind of a whack job. A saving people thing. What did Lucius Malfoy call him right after his trial? Patronus Potter. Savior Potter. Defender Potter. Guardian Potter. Saint, all those things. And what's that supposed to mean? Well, last year, the tournament, right? We could go back to the beginning. I mean, it's great of you, Harry. It's really good that you like to save people and that you do save people. All right? So she says, when Harry says, spit it out, what are you really getting at? 734. Voldemort knows you, Harry. He took Ginny down into the Chamber of Secrets to lure you there. It's the kind of thing he does. And what's Harry thinking? Yeah, and now he's taken Sirius. And if I hadn't gone down into the chamber, Ginny would be dead. And if I don't go to the Department of Mysteries, okay, this is what he's thinking. Sirius would be dead. Okay? So, Harry says, you don't get it. What I'm seeing is real, Hermione. Right? Was Arthur Weasley really injured? Yes, he was. Okay. So, what does Hermione at least get him to do? Louder? Proof. Get some proof. What would be the proof? If they can dial up number 12, Grimmauld Place, and Sirius is there, then he's not at the Department of Mysteries. So they do the fireplace. They call Creature. What does Creature say? Notice how this occurs. 741. Harry shouts, 740, middle of the page. Sirius, are you there? They hear Creature. Harry asks, where's Sirius, Creature? Notice, Master has gone out, Harry Potter. Where's he gone? Where's he gone, creature? He asked for anybody else. Nobody else there. Where is Sirius gone? Creature, has he gone to the Department of Mysteries? In a trial, what would Harry kind of be accused of doing to the witness? Leading him on. Okay? Notice how creature responds. Now, can creature lie to Harry at this point? Yes, he can. Why? Creature is not bound to Harry. So he can tell Harry whatever he wants. Creature stops. Master does not tell poor creature where he is going. But you know, don't tell me where he is. Right? And creature just says he won't come back from the Department of Mysteries. It's not lying, by the way. Why is it not lying? Because he's not at the Department of Mysteries. So to say he won't come back from the Department of Mysteries is, it's just like nonsense. Gobbledygook talk. Okay? So they get caught by Malfoy and Umbridge and such. And Snape comes in. Umbridge wants Veritaserum. Snape's given her all that he has. He says it'll take me a month. So she's thinking, I got to get information out of these people. What's the next best way? After sodium pentothal, Start clipping off fingertips and torture. Hermione says, you can't do that. I'll tell you the secret. They go off to the Forbidden Forest. What happens to Umbridge when they go off to the Forbidden Forest? She insults the centaurs, calls them half-breeds, okay? And she gets carried off into the forest by this herd of centaurs and Grop, Who goes off to the forest? Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Who else? Who else is involved in the lookout and stuff too, so Harry could try to talk to Sirius? Neville, Ginny, and Luna. Okay? So, pick up with 760-61. Luna says, we'll have to fly, won't we? Harry, what do you mean, we? Ginny, I've got a room. Ron, yeah, you're not coming. Ginny, excuse me? I care what happens to Sirius as much as you do. Harry, you're two. I'm 3 older than you were when you fought you-know-who over the Sorcerer's Stone. In other words, shut that up. Don't tell me. Neville, we're all in the DA together. It was all supposed to be about fighting you-know-who, wasn't it? And this is the first chance we've had to do something real. And then he kind of sticks the shiv in and turns it a little bit. Or was that all just a game or something? Notice, by the way, we could jump to book 6 after they're talking about their owls and such. And McGonagall is going over with Neville his revision, that is his course schedule. And how do we find out Neville did in Defense Against the Dark Arts? Either got an exceeds expectations or outstanding. One of those two. First time ever. Why? Because of Harry's teaching. Okay? So, Harry, of course it wasn't. Neville, then we should come. Luna, that's right. Harry looks at Ron. Ron thinks, and they're thinking, if we want somebody from the DA, we don't want Neville. Okay? So, they decide to go, and how are they going to get there? They can't apparate. Thestrals. They get to the Department of Mysteries. Go away. What rooms do they go into? You don't have to give them in order, just what rooms do they go into? the brain, mind room, right? Okay. What else? Time. They see the clocks. We see time turners there. I don't know, space, nature, natural forces kind of thing, there's planets and stuff. They try to go in one room, but the door is locked. They try and try, they can't get the door open. What's another one? It's the one they spend seemingly the most time in. Death. And then 6, there's the Hall of Prophecies. Okay? So, they finally get into one of the rooms, or into the important one. 773. They get into this room, and it's shaped kind of like this. It's got steps that go down, flat spot, dais, steps leading up to it, and then steps going back up. On the dais is an archway. Hanging from the archway is a curtain or veil. Page 773. They go in, and we're told right in the middle. Who's there? Harry asks. Jumping down onto the bench below. Hermione, careful. Harry goes down the benches until he gets to the bottom. The veil that is here is moving gently. But there's no breeze in the room. There's no air conditioning. Right? Everything is still, but the veil is moving. Sirius? Harry asks. He had the strangest feeling there was someone standing right behind the veil on the other side of the archway. So, he walks around the back. There's nobody there. All that could be seen was the other side of the tattered black veil. Notice, this isn't like a brand new curtain. This thing is worn. Hermione, let's go. And notice, she's up here. We'll call her Hermie, since that's what Crop calls her. She doesn't go all the way down. What the heck? What happened? She sounds scared. Much more scared than in the room where the brains swam. Why? Because the brains have to deal with logic, reason, and to some extent also consciousness, which is, a little bit harder to understand. Harry, let's go. Okay, he says. He just heard something. There's whispering coming from the other side of the veil. Now, he's already been on the other side. What are you saying, Harry says. Hermione, nobody's talking, Harry. And she's moving closer to him. Somebody's whispering behind there. Is that you, Ron? I'm here, mate. Ron's on the other side of the archway. Can't anyone else hear it? Now, what would it do if Ginny said, I hear it, Harry? Or if Neville said, I hear it, Harry? But it's Luna. Loony, Luna, Lovegood. I can hear them too. There are people in there. In where? Harry's been around the whole thing. Ron is now behind it. Hermione, what do you mean in there? There isn't any in there. It's just an archway. There's no room for anybody to be there. Harry, stop it. Come away. She grabs his arm and tries to pull. Why? Notice, Harry is drawn to this. It's like a magnet. Hermione is just the opposite. She's repulsed by it. She wants to get as far away from that as possible. Why? That is death. That is the entry to death. The veil is the very, very thin line between life and death. It is merely a pictorial representation of that bright line, that distinction between life and death. Okay? How do we know? What are we going to see happen very, very shortly? Sirius is going to be standing up here, battling, right, with a wand, and he's going to get hit because he's an arrogant jerk. And he's going to fall through the veil and not come out the other side. Okay? Harry says, in response to Hermione's, we're supposed to be here for Sirius. Sirius, yeah. Well, what else is going on? She's foreshadowing. This is Rowling kind of preparing us. Okay? So, they go to the apartment, they go to the Hall of Prophecies, and we see page 780, the test tube-like thing, kind of shaped like this, with the writing on it. SPT to APWBD, Dark Lord and question mark, Harry Potter. Sybil, I can't remember her middle name, Trelawney to Albus Percival Wulfric Brian Dumbledore, Dark Lord, and unclear. Okay? And who shows up? Who's the first one to speak? Malfoy. Right? So, we get the battle. The battle ranges, right? It goes from room to room to room. We go back through the rooms we've been through, and it ends in this one. What happened to Broderick Bode? Anybody remember? He was at St. Mungo's. Why? That's a little later. Nope. Remember the scene where Harry has the vision of Voldemort in Rookwood, and Rookwood is telling him Avery was wrong? Bode never could have gotten it? What are they talking about? They're talking about this. They're talking about the prophecy. Bode was confounded because he tried to take the prophecy down. Okay? That's why he goes to the St. Mungo's. He's on the closed ward, which is the ward that deals with mind injuries. Okay? But he gets killed by the devil snare plant that's put by him. Why? Because he's coming out of the confunding, and he's going to tell him. He was put under an imperious curse to go after that. Rookwood says he couldn't have done that. Why? Who can touch this? Only the people it's about. So the Dark Lord can handle it. That is, bare skin, I think is what's meant. If you've got gloves on, you're cool, right? Who handles it? In the Department of Mysteries. Who do we see actually hold it? And we're not told they're wearing gloves. 2 people. Not Voldemort, not Malfoy, not Bellatrix, Harry, and Neville. Why? Because it could have been about either of them. The only reason it becomes about one of them is because of something that is said in the prophecy that Voldemort, the Dark Lord, didn't know about, okay, which we'll hear in a minute. So, Dumbledore arrives. 805, 806. Dumbledore arrives, does a little flick of the, and kind of rounds up almost everybody. And he's going down the steps when the Death Eaters realized he was there. Only one couple, bottom of 805, were still battling. Harry saw Sirius duck Bellatrix's jet of red light. All right? Red is not obviously what spell? Not Avada Kedavra. He was laughing at her. Come on, surely you can do better than that. The second jet of light hit him squarely on the chest. The laughter had not quite died from his face, but his eyes widened in shock. How dare you? Okay. Harry released Neville. It seemed to take Sirius an age to fall. His body curved in a graceful arc as he sank backward through the ragged veil hanging from the arch. And he's not there anymore. All right? Chapter 36. Harry realizes Sirius is dead. He goes off after Bellatrix. Page 810. She taunts him. He comes out, hits her with a crucio. Notice her response. This is pretty important, I think, because it tells us something about Harry's inner nature. She screams when he hits her with the crucio. Never used, bottom of 810, never used an unforgivable curse before. Have you, boy? You need to mean them, Potter. You need to really want to cause pain, to enjoy it. See, there's a difference between wanting to cause pain and enjoying the causing of pain. Why? Righteous anger won't hurt me for long. She's just told us the anger that Harry feels right now is righteous. It's not vengeance. There's something good about it. Okay? So, Dumbledore comes in, and he and Voldemort battle, and we're told at the bottom of 813, Dumbledore says, "It was foolish to come here tonight, Tom," said Dumbledore calmly. "The Aurors are on their way." Now, I don't remember if I've actually seen the fifth film. I know I've seen parts of this scene. Is Dumbledore quote unquote calm, if you've seen the film, in this battle? Not really. The way Michael Gambon plays Dumbledore is he's pretty frenzied. He's pretty frenetic. Okay? What's his name who died was a much better Dumbledore. So, one thing I wish Rowling had done differently here is rather than call him Tom, pause for a minute, why does he call him Tom? It's his name. Why else?
It's demeaning.
How?
It takes away the power of the name Voldemort.
Takes away the power of the name Voldemort, all that kind of stuff.
It makes him just a person.
Makes him just a person. Makes him the student. And this is what I wish he had him say, Tommy. Just add that little diminutive suffix on the end, the me ending, to reduce him, metaphorically in size. Okay? So they talk back and forth. Notice, Dumbledore does not shoot any green spells at Voldemort. Top of 814. You do not seek to kill me, Dumbledore, above such brutality? We both know there are other ways of destroying a man, Tom. Merely taking your life would not satisfy me, I admit. Okay, now that opens up a whole new vista into Dumbledore's mind. Merely killing you wouldn't be satisfactory. So what's worse than death? Azkaban? Okay, possibly. What else? Think of Azkaban. Dementor's kiss. You're dead, but you're not dead, right? If they suck the soul out of you, then I guess you could say you're dead. Or is it really more like, somebody who is in a catatonic state, a vegetative state? And we've had numerous accounts of this happening over the last 20, 30 years. People who've been in comas and such for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, and then they come out of the coma. Or people who've been in vegetative states. True, vegetative, no brain waves. And they wake up. And in every instance, nearly every instance, when that happens, the person who was vegetative in a coma says, I was aware of everything. I heard every conversation. So I heard when you were talking about pull the plug or not pull the plug. So, Dumbledore and Voldemort battle. Voldemort, through Nagini, possesses Harry. And Voldemort says, if death's, no big deal, then kill him, Dumbledore. And Harry says, yeah, really. 8:16, let the pain stop. Let him kill us. End it, Dumbledore. Death is nothing compared to this. And I'll see Sirius again. And boop, Nagini disappears. Why? What is having to do, thinking he'll see Sirius again, why does that stop the possession? What's that a demonstration of or an example of? Well, we'll answer that when we get back to Dumbledore's office and he and Harry talk. So, Fudge shows up, Dumbledore tells him what to do, sends Harry via portkey back to his office. Harry tells Phineas Nigellus that Sirius is dead. Dumbledore finally shows up about a half an hour later, page 823. And he tells Harry, I know how you're feeling. Harry says, no, you don't. We don't know why Dumbledore can say, I know how you're feeling, until we get to the end of book 7. Okay? So, Dumbledore tells Harry, there's no shame in what you're feeling, Harry. On the contrary, the fact that you can feel pain like this is your greatest strength. Wow, that's cold, man. That's literally, that is just so cold. Harry's just, as Dumbledore was saying a few moments, Harry's just lost the closest thing to a parent he has had. He has lost the closest relative, because, Dudley and the Dursleys, they don't count, that he's had. And Dumbledore says, that pain that you're feeling, that's good. That shows your greatest strength. Anybody would respond how? Then I don't want to be strong. I don't want to have strength. I want to be weak. Okay? You don't have a clue. You don't know. What don't I know? I don't want to talk. Okay? Harry, suffering like this proves you're still a man. This pain is part of being human. Then I don't want to be human. Well, there's only one way that Harry can no longer be human, right? And that's what? To die. Now, he'd be a dead human, but he'd still be human. So they argue back and forth. Well, Harry argues, Dumbledore calmly makes statements. 8:25. Dumbledore says, I know you're thinking of killing me, but if you're going to kill me, I want you to be really angry, and I want to really have earned your killing me. What? It's my fault Sirius died tonight. Now that kind of undercuts what Dumbledore said at the end of book 3, when Harry says, it's my fault if Voldemort comes back. But notice, yes?
I was going to say that the reversal role there doesn't imply that Dumbledore is a whole lot more powerful than Harry is.
Right. But notice also what Dumbledore said immediately following that. See, she breaks up the statement by adding the said Dumbledore clearly. Or, he's clarifying. I should say, almost entirely my fault. I will not be so arrogant as to claim responsibility for the whole. In other words, I will be arrogant, but it's not entirely my fault. It's mostly my fault. Why? What did he do to Sirius all year long? He, Dumbledore. What's Sirius's animagus form? And what did he have the dog on? On the leash and collar. He wouldn't let Sirius what? Be Sirius. Not E-R-I-O-U-S, but I-R-I-U-S. He wouldn't let Sirius be Harry's godfather. He wouldn't let Sirius be Harry's father figure. Okay? He says you should never believe for an instant there was any necessity for you to get to the Department of Mysteries. This is Dumbledore's very oblique, non-confrontational way of saying, Harry, if you learn occlumency, Sirius would still be alive. Okay? So, bottom 826. I owe you an explanation of an old man's mistakes. Okay? Harry's like, what the hell are you talking about? Dumbledore, 15 years ago, I guessed when I saw the scar on your forehead what it might mean. Harry, yeah, you've told me this before. Dumbledore, yeah, but I didn't tell you everything. Okay? He says this ability to detect Voldemort's presence, top of 827, even when he is disguised, has become more and more pronounced since Voldemort's return. And he says, and I took that to mean that Voldemort would also detect your presence since his return. Why? Because he's got a little bit of Harry coursing around through his veins. The connection wasn't a one-way connection. It was a two-way connection. Okay? Part of Rowling's brilliance. She gives us another two-way connection in this novel that Harry completely forgets about. What is it? It's a Christmas gift that Sirius gives to Harry. The mirror that Harry doesn't remember, until he's packing stuff up for the end of the year. And he sees it and he's like, damn, I could have used this to find where Sirius was. Anyways, so what did Dumbledore say? Why did he do what he did? Because he thought Voldemort would try to get to him through Harry. So he's kind of protecting himself and protecting Harry, right? So he talks about interrogating Creature, talks about Sirius, he talks about, Snape and such. 832, Harry's like, and Hermione kept telling us to be nice to Creature. Dumbledore, he was right, Harry. Creature is what he is because of what he's been made by wizards. And he specifically says Creature, by Sirius. It must be admitted, bottom of 832, Sirius did nothing to make Creature's lot easier. Don't talk about Sirius like that. Anybody remember what Sirius told Harry, Ron, and Hermione back in the chapter Padfoot's Return, or Padfoot Returns, in Goblet of Fire, when they're in Sirius's cave outside of Hogsmeade? He talks to him about Barty Crouch Sr. And he tells Ron and Harry, Hermione's got a better read on Barty Crouch than you guys do. And he says, you can judge a man how? By how he treats those beneath him. How did Sirius treat Creature? Like dirt. How does Dumbledore treat Dobby? Like an equal. How did Harry treat Dobby? Would you take a seat? And Dobby burst into tears. I've never been treated like an equal. How does Harry treat, let's say, book 7, Agrippa, like an equal? Okay? So, Harry says something about Snape. Dumbledore says 833, I trust him implicitly. Okay? So, he finally says, it's time for me to tell you what I should have told you about him 834, 5 years ago. That is, when you asked me a question at the end of your first year. Okay? So he tells Harry, 836, as long as you can go home, Voldemort can't hurt you there. He says, I did a spell that where your mother's blood dwells, you are protected. 837. He talks about his plan and the flaw in it. Harry, I don't know what you're... Speak English. You don't remember asking me as you lay in the hospital wing why Voldemort had tried to kill you when you were a baby? Notice, Harry nods. He doesn't verbalize anything. Why? Because this is the big reveal. And it's like, what? Should I have told you? Again, he doesn't say anything. His heart is racing. You don't see the flaw? Get to the point, Dumbledore. What's the flaw? Dumbledore loved Harry. Not the whole homosexual stuff that a lot of fan fiction kind of weird goes off on. He cared for him too much. And he says, 838 at the bottom, I cared more for your peace of mind than my plan, more for your life than the lives that might be lost if the plan failed. I acted exactly as Voldemort expects we fools who love to act. He cared more for one individual than for the world, so to speak. Okay? He says, what did I care if numbers of faceless and nameless and faceless people and creatures were slaughtered in the vague future, if right here now you were happy? I couldn't tell you, Harry. Does he ever, don't answer this, it's kind of rhetorical. Does he ever fully tell Harry the plan? Not until nearly the end of book 7. Not until we get through the chapter King's Cross. Okay? So, he talks about the prophecy. Bottom of 839. He knew the prophecy had been made, but he didn't know its full contents. It's just like Oedipus the King. Ancient Greek drama / myth. Oedipus receives a prophecy. You are destined to kill your father, marry and sleep with your mother, and bring to light creatures that shouldn't exist. And he's like, ew, no, I don't want to do that. And so he runs away from home. But he doesn't have the full information he needs, just like Voldemort doesn't. Because he doesn't know that where he lives and the people he thinks are his parents are his adopted parents. And he loves his parents, and he doesn't want to kill his father, and he really doesn't want to sleep with his mother. So he runs away right into his real parents. Okay? Voldemort doesn't hear what part of the prophecy. Look at the prophecy, page 841. The one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord approaches, born to those who have thrice to fight, and born at the 7th month dies. And the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal, but he will have power the Dark Lord knows not. Either must die at the hand of it. Voldemort hears everything through as the 7th month dies. He doesn't hear the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal. Doesn't mean the Dark Lord will see him and see, oh, this is my equal. It means the Dark Lord will do something and make that individual his equal. Okay? Now we're told it could apply to Neville. What is that telling us about Neville's parents, as well as Harry's parents? Each set of parents 3 times defied Lord Voldemort. We're never told how. Maybe she has in Pottermore. But in the course of the books, we're never told how James and Lily 3 times, flipped off Voldemort, metaphorically speaking. Or how Frank and Alice did. All right? Nor are we told specifically when Neville's birthday is. It does turn out to be the same day as Harry's, July 31st. Why? It's J.K. Rowling. That, by the way, is why Harry's birthday is then. Harry, notice, Dumbledore plays the memory out of the pensive. What does that mean? Explain, please. Translate. Notice what Harry doesn't do that he previously has done when Dumbledore has told him something important. He interprets it, spits it back out in his own words. This time, tell me that too deep, don't want to. It meant the person who has the only chance of conquering Lord Voldemort for good was born at the end of July, nearly 16 years ago. This boy would be born to parents who had already defied Voldemort 3 times. And that's when he says, and it could have been Neville. And notice, for the remainder of this book, and most of book 6, Harry does what? He puts all his hopes on maybe it's Neville. Why? What is Harry thinking about how prophecy works? It's kind of interesting. Harry thinks prophecy works like, you've got the thing prophesying and the thing prophesied. That is, go back to the Lord of the Rings. The Menor, the thing that intended Frodo to have the ring, and the thing meant Frodo has the ring. Right? Use the Old Testament as an example. Who does Isaiah, for example, speak for? On behalf. What speaks through Isaiah? Or any of the Old Testament prophets? God, right? God's the one doing the speaking. The prophet is the mouthpiece. The thing said is what God wants the people to know. Harry's understanding is kind of the same. Even though throughout the books, we're led to believe Harry has no religious upbringing. He has no religious thinking at all. It's like when it comes to religion, death, the soul, total blank slate. Right? But here he's thinking, well, this prophecy must mean something in and of itself. That is, it must have meant Neville. Okay? Dumbledore. Well, the prophecy was changed to you because Voldemort tried to kill you. No, he didn't go after Neville. Interestingly, he didn't go after Neville, whose family is pure blood. He went after you, Harry, whose family is not pure blood. Right? Harry's father is a wizard. His mother was a witch. Harry is a wizard. Harry's father's fathers, James's family line, were wizards. Lily's were not. So it might not be me. No, it is. But Neville, no. What's the difference, Harry? He marked you. And you almost get, Harry, no, not that kind of mark. Just like the protection Harry's mother gave him wasn't a mark on the body. It was a spiritual, or blood mark, so to speak. Harry, but he might have chosen wrong. See, this is what Harry's getting at. Whatever spoke the prophecy through Trelawney, it meant it to be Neville. Why does Harry say this? Pretty basic, simple reason. Saves my bacon. All I need to do is hang out Neville, like a red cape in front of a bull for Voldemort. Here he is. Come get him. So Dumbledore says, or Harry asks, then why did he do it? Why did Voldemort do this? He didn't hear the whole prophecy, Harry. Okay? And he didn't hear the part that you would have a power that the Dark Lord. Harry's like, dude, I can't do what he did. I don't have any power he doesn't have. Dumbledore says, you do. 843, bottom. He says about the room that is always locked. Okay, what are the rooms in the Department of Mysteries for? What is their purpose in being there? They're to be studied, right? That's why Dumbledore says those rooms are there to study the things in them. But this room, the door is always locked. That implies it's never opened. It's never studied. What is it? Love. What's meant by love? Is this erotic love? Is this agape love? Is this filial love? It's love. It's compassion. It, use the Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, mercy and pity kind of thing. And he says, Harry, you've got that just overflowing out of every pore. Why? Because we see it from book 1 all the way through here. It's what saved him tonight, right? What does he think? I'll see Sirius again. So, jump way forward. End of the year, getting ready for the feast. Harry runs into, where is it? Nearly headless Nick. And what's he think? Ghost! Sirius will come back as a ghost. Why does Nick tell him Sirius will not come back? It takes us back to book 1, by the way. He says, he will have gone on. Gone on where? Don't really know. What do you mean you don't know? You're dead. Yeah, but I'm neither here nor there. He says, most witches and wizards go on. Why? They're not afraid to die. 860, 861. Nick chose, he says, this pale imitation of life. Why? He was afraid to die. What's the link to book 1? To the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure. If you fear the unknown, your mind is not organized. Things aren't put into proper perspective. All right? So, after that, who does he run into next? So, he leaves Nick. How's he feeling? He's deflated, man. He's hoping Nick will tell him, yeah, Sirius will come back. It'll take a few weeks, but he'll come back. Now he has no hope. We're told. 862 at the top. He walked slowly and miserably back up through the empty castle, wondering whether he would ever feel cheerful again. And then he sees Luna. And Luna's trying to find stuff that's gone missing. How's it gone missing? Kids take it. They hide her stuff at the end of the year. It's funny. Death Eaters in miniature, And he says, she says, the guy was your godfather, wasn't he? He says, yeah. And Harry, wait, have you known somebody who's died? And she tells him about her mother. And then she says, but, it's not like I'll never see Mom again. Bottom of 863. Sorry? She was gone. You mean in that room with you heard them, Harry, behind. They were just lurking out of sight. And Harry's thinking, Luna's crazy. But he had heard voices. Top of the next page. You sure you don't want me to help you look after your stuff? Notice what has happened. moving on to Nick because he's trying to seek solace for himself. He runs into Luna. They start talking. He's still trying to seek some solace for herself. And what happens as a result of talking to Luna? He turns from looking inwardly at himself, his problems, and he looks at Luna and he tries to help her. And she's like, no, it's okay. I'll just go down. I'll wait for my stuff to turn up. It always does in the end. What is she showing us there? She has a belief things will turn out right in the end. Okay? She walks away from him, and as he watched her go, he found that the terrible weight in his stomach seemed to have lessened slightly. Why? What has she given him? Hope? 3 cardinal virtues. That's one of them. The other 2? Faith and love. He's already got love in spades. She's also given him, resurrected maybe in him, or given him a little bit of faith. Not in Jesus, not in God, not that everything's going to work out, but, maybe I'll see my parents again. Which is kind of interesting because what did he think when he was being possessed by Nagini? I'll see Sirius again. When he talks to Luna, it's like, well, that's a new idea. I've never heard about that possibility. Okay? We'll stop there. Half-Blood Prince for Friday. See what I've got, 5 days. So about a fifth of it. I don't know, that's like 140 pages, 130 pages, something like that. At least. Let's try to do. If I haven't already, I can't remember if I haven't. I'll open the quiz for second part of Order to Phoenix. I think it's open today. It'll be due Sunday, I believe.